Hey AJ, I was wondering if you could tell us how you made the correct decisions to get to where you are in the Moto Academy today. I was wondering what big decisions you had to make and how you made those good decisions to be able to create this awesome app and product that we can all learn from and be able to improve our motocross riding and our dirt bike skills. Also, when are you doing another class in Utah and where? Thank you.
Fantastic question. Good question. Those are the types of questions, by the way, that you'd want to be asking in life to be successful. But I'll answer the second one first. Utah class. I don't think we have one on the schedule. Do we? I don't think we do. We're working on it. I love Utah. It's just hard to find. I know there's a track, Jordan River, is it called, or it's near Jordan River, but it's been hard to try and book there. So if you know of any places that might be a good option, send it to us and we'll do our best to get that on the schedule for maybe deeper in the year, end of quarter 3, maybe quarter 4. Decisions to get to where we are today. Okay, we can go we'll have to rewind quite a bit. The biggest decision I guess I made that set me on this trajectory period was I realized really young, age 18, maybe, having Rob Klinkong, who helped me develop the curriculum of Moto Academy. He, along with a lot of others, family members, and there's a lot of this coming in a negative way of kind of like, when are you going to get a real job? When you retire, what are you going to do? Like, how are you going to make, like, all of the negative kind of chatter that a lot of people hear from family and friends. It got the gears turning to not go with the normal route, but it got my gears turning on, okay, well, how can I get creative maybe to do something that I really love that's not totally traditional, but can be a bit more safe and have more longevity than the actual racing itself. And that's when I started teaching. So I started teaching riders when I was like 14 or 15 years old, doing one-on-one lessons in Connecticut. Really, so that's really young. And 14 to 18, by the time I was 18 years old, I had a ton of experience in coaching. So then at that point it was like, okay, how can I do this on a slightly larger scale, get some classes together and see if this can't turn into something. And that was the initial decision, I guess. So simple way of doing this though, to be quite honest. I was lucky to have already found my passion and found what I was good at a really young age. I knew I was going to be a pro dirt bike rider by the time I was 3 years old, 4 years old. I have a kindergarten project where I wrote in completely botched English, I want to be a pro dirt bike rider, and the teacher had to correct it down at the bottom. That goal was too low in hindsight, but at least I had a goal of being a pro dirt bike rider and something that I was passionate about, still am today. That's key number 1. Find out what you're really good at, find what you're good at and you really like doing. It can't be something you're really good at, but you don't like doing it. You have to love doing it and you have to be also really good at it. Follow that. Then you have to figure out how you can serve others or help others with that. And that's like the ultimate, then you've got it. Then at that point, things will, I think, start to fall into place with whatever that is. And think about it. If for a second you think whatever it is that you're doing or thinking isn't realistic, think about what we've created with Moto Academy. As unrealistic as it gets. We're gonna make a huge business out of something that literally, it was a lane that didn't even exist. We are creating our own lane entirely. So you can conceptualize whatever the heck you want, whatever you're good at and whatever you like, figure out how you can help others and serve others with that and create a business around that concept. And that would be my advice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good.
Yep. Yeah.
Does that advice sound confusing?
Dude, I mean, here's the difficult part about what you're saying is I was a big podcast guy. I was a big almost motivational speech guy, and everybody says the same thing. It's like, set your mind to it and go do it. And it's like, okay. But here's the deal.
Well, there's very practical steps
Guys,
to do
and
that.
Actually, but that is the ticket. I look at a few people in my life where, just I know people in my life where I'm like, the only thing that's holding you back is you don't believe it. It's the only thing. Like everything else, everything is in place except you don't believe you can do it. And those people may never get there. Right? And it's so simple, right? There are practical steps. And I think we talked about this on the podcast once. My perspective is like, set a goal and then write 10 steps on how you're going to do it. How you're going to get there. Because the goal is never, writing down a goal is useless if you don't write down the steps on how you're going to achieve it. Right? I have goals in my life. Like the Moto Academy is a great example because very rarely are there people doing something that's never been done before. How we created the very first online motocross training course. Never been done before. It's those moments are few and far between on when you can actually jump on something like that. I think about that in my life and I look at my involvement in all this. I'm nobody. I am literally nobody. I'm a kid who is terrible at riding dirt bikes, somewhat average at making videos. I live in Burlington, Vermont, where nobody lives. The population of my state is 600,000 people. I mean, there's more cows than people. The most unlikely of circumstances is what I'm trying to say.
I'm also a nobody. There's different levels of being a nobody as well. Think about it. I'm a nobody from Portland, Connecticut. I grew up in a class of 60 people in my high school. I am a privateer supercross racer that was barely able to make main events at times, and yet we're going to be creating one of the most successful businesses that the sport has ever seen. Yeah. Everybody has a level playing field in my mind, unless you have a physical or mental handicap. I think that it can be easier if you grow up. Maybe if you have some money to assist at the beginning, sure, that could be helpful. But if you don't, which I didn't, it's all doable. You're gonna hate me for saying this. Go order Think and Grow Rich on Amazon. What that does is that gives you, there's 13 steps. It gives you the 13 practical steps on how to be successful. Plain and simple. Some of it is more mindset related, but it's very important mindset steps that you have to take. But it's all very practical. I think the problem is when so many people that are at lower levels in their life hear the motivational speeches of all of these people, and they just like, of course, it's so easy to say that when you've made it, or like, all right, yeah, sure, I've heard that a million times, but what does that mean? The great thing about this Think and Grow Rich book is it was the first time I read something that I was like, because I'm a logical thinker. The way I teach is really logical and broken down and analytical. When I read that book, I was like, oh, it's just a step-by-step process. I could do that. One of the major steps of that was writing things down. So read that book, read it through a bunch of times, follow those steps. And with the advice that I had in mind of finding what you're good at and what you like, and figuring out how to serve others with that and creating most value by doing that. And this book will help you do that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We've been blessed. Like, I look at my life and the Lord's been good to me. I don't deserve it. I think is a very important distinction to make. I don't deserve any of this. I don't deserve some people will work harder than me, right? And end up in different places, right? So I don't deserve it. I don't take any of it for granted. And
don't get it confused either. It's not always about working.
But that's what I was just gonna say. Like, how do I word this? like, don't settle. If that, like, you don't have to settle, right? Like, I don't know. I'm not a very motivational speaker.
Because and the reason I think that this is, I'm not a very good motivational speaker.
Yeah.
The reason this is so important, and I'm passionate and growing more passionate about trying to explain this and articulate this to people, is that it is not about earning more money or creating a more status, or getting a cooler car or a bigger house. Like, what's great is that it will unlock the ability to do all of those things if you want them. But the most important thing is that the pursuit of exactly what Cameron, Cam, and myself are doing, that is like what creates a happy person. And so that is absolutely what I think every person should be striving towards, is just like the pursuit of what we're explaining is happiness on a daily basis. And that's when you've made it. And then what's cool is the material things become unimportant, but yet simultaneously you start to be able to afford all of the material things that you no longer even categorize as important, which is really cool, right? Like, already I bought Allie a Porsche, I bought her an AMG, all of these things. We have now got rid of them, and now we just have a Toyota Tundra. And we've done that by 29, when we're still at the beginning stages of this whole thing. Like, I don't care about any of that stuff. When I say early in this podcast that I want to buy an airplane, it's not for the status of having an airplane. I think that that's just another example of me doing something that everybody thinks is crazy and proving that wow, okay, I decided I could do it. Watch, I'm just going to go ahead and just do it because I decided that I can. Yeah, that was a long-winded answer by both of us, but I think that, I don't know, in talking to a lot of people, this is what's cool about this app, actually, Cam. I get so many messages. I don't know what the type of messages that you get are, or if they vary pretty widely, but I get a lot of messages with questions similar to that, and just more of asking about life.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Absolutely.
And I'm 29, you're even younger. Both of us don't have any clue of what's going on, but
not a single idea.
Yeah, not a clue.
I've lived no life compared to most people. I'm 24 years old.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, we've seen a lot, though. I mean, we see the entire country in the span of 5 months at the beginning of every year. So we have that going. But, I don't know. It's just cool. I only come from a point of like,
you got to do it. You got to take this. You got to
do it.
You got to believe at least a little bit at first. You're not going to believe fully. Don't expect yourself to believe fully at the beginning. You're going to have to fake it till you make it a little bit, and even in your own head. Like, trust me, I've been faking it till I've been making it this whole time. It hasn't been until very recently that I actually have a true, really, really deep self-belief. And that's developing as we speak as well. But you just have to begin. Like, I was looking through my notes the other day. My phone's going to die as I'm doing this. And I write down so much stuff in my phone, by the way. I was scrolling through my notes, and on June 2nd, 2022, I wrote down, buy the book, Think and Grow Rich. And the reason I wrote that is because the idea came into my head somehow when I was on a plane, but I didn't have Wi-Fi to be able to get the book. So I wrote it in my note. I saw that note the next day and I ordered it. And it's like, that's an example of so many people would hear somebody say something or give you a piece of advice. And so many people think, yeah, I should do that. Or tomorrow. Or that would be cool.
It's like me and going to the gym.
Yeah, just do it. Just do it.
Yeah. And there's nothing holding you back. I've seen so many people come from a lot of money and be successful, and I've seen so many people come from absolutely no money and be very successful. Just you can do it. You
Yep.
can. Actually, maybe you can't. But I don't know.
Whether you can or whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Is that
Yeah,
the, is that the
that's a
saying?
good way to put it. Sure.
If you guys enjoyed this podcast clip and you want to listen to full episodes, go download them. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and I think that's it. Go download them there. Give them a listen. If you want to watch full episodes, which I tell you what, it's even better to do that. Go to club.themotoacademy.com because Moto Academy subscribers inside of the app have exclusive access to watch the entire episodes. And not only that, the subscribers actually can send in their questions to be answered on the podcast as well. Club.themotoacademy.com. Go subscribe.